What up, guys? It's Tom, and welcome back to another movie review. Today we are unfortunately going over and ranking Fateful Findings. Fateful Findings, released in 2013, written and directed by Neil Breen, a computer scientist slash novelist reunites with his childhood friend, hacks into government databases, and faces the dire and fateful consequences of the mystical actions he obtained as a child. Now, this movie was so bad that it got to the point where I actually watched it in ×3 speed just to make the pain go away. Now, this was requested by someone in the comments, so I felt obligated to watch it. If I had a choice, I would never, ever have watched this because I have seen clips of this movie and it is truly terrible. But now that I finally watched it, I can say with certainty it is the worst movie I have ever laid my eyes on. But either way, let's just get right into the 10 essential aspects of a movie. The first essential aspect is plot. Now, Neil Breen, he was the writer, the director, and the main star in this movie. So everything I'm about to say about this movie in this review is directed at him. Everything is on his shoulders because he is the sole writer and the director, and he is the main actor in it. And nonetheless, when it comes to the plot of this movie, it makes no sense. I was lost after the first 5 minutes. I really had no idea what was going on, and that's a big problem because for a movie that has a lot of problems, if it doesn't even have a story to follow, it just makes it 40 times worth, to be honest. Like, I have no idea what they were going for. If at least I knew what they were aiming at, even if it wasn't done properly, then okay, I could try to figure it out. But I had nowhere to start off. It started off with him as a child, and then suddenly his best friend has to move away. Okay, that's fine. That part I get. After that, no idea. It jumps to 50 different things that have nothing to do with each other, and that's just poor writing. The second essential aspect is attraction. Was this movie attractive in any way? No, it was not entertaining. It was not funny. It was not cinematically really good. It didn't have an interesting concept. It really had nothing going for it. And you would think that a movie that's this bad would at least have some funny parts because of how bad it is. No, we reached a whole new level of low where it was so bad that it passed through that stage of being funny to the point where it's just sad. It is just sad how bad this movie is. I could easily make a better movie. I could just grab a bunch of my friends, just take an iPhone and record a movie, and it'd probably be better than that one. The third essential aspect is theme. Obviously, if I couldn't even tell what the plot was, I'm not going to be able to tell what the theme is, so let's move on. The fourth essential aspect is dialogue. Now, this is one of the two worst parts. It's pretty much tied with acting, but for now, let's talk about dialogue. I mean, it's truly terrible. It felt like the conversations were as far from real as possible. It felt like they were straight up just reading a script to each other and were just not prepared at all when getting on camera. It did not feel real. It had no emotion behind it. It just felt like robots talking out there. So I don't understand how this could have been the final cut. This looks like the pre-first draft. And I don't know how it's even possible. It boggled me when I saw some of these scenes. The fifth essential aspect is acting. We finally made it to the worst part of this movie, and that is the acting. It is horrendous. I don't know how any of these people are actors. It really just looks like Neil just went onto the street, picked up a bunch of random people, said, say these lines, and call it a day. Zero emotion in their acting. They could not convince me that they are real characters. That's why I fast forwarded while watching this movie, because I couldn't even get through it. If at least the acting was half decent, maybe I would have just watched it just thinking that it's a bad movie, but not this bad. And I'm going to show you a clip of something that happened in this movie. And if you don't want to be spoiled, then skip ahead. But it really doesn't matter. You just need to see how bad the acting is in this movie if you do want to go watch it.
I can't believe you committed suicide. I cannot believe you committed suicide. How could you have done this? How could you have committed suicide? I can't help you out of this one, Jim.
Ay. Yeah, that was terrible. And I really despise the fact that I sat through this entire movie because I could have spent my time so much better with a different movie or just doing something else. I could have golfed, and instead I watched this movie. The sixth essential aspect is cinematography. This movie didn't look good. It had no scene where I was emotionally invested. It just had nothing to do with being a good movie, so it has nothing to do with good cinematography. The seventh essential aspect is editing. So this movie is an hour and 40 minutes long, and to be honest, it has a worse quality than some high school history projects that I have seen people make. And those usually are limited to like 5 to 10 minutes. So let's just say that's where I think this movie should be. I thought it should be like 5 to 10 minutes long, just a little haha, get through it. Oh, it's bad. Okay, move on with your day. Not an hour and 40. That is almost 2 hours of someone's day that is wasted watching this movie. The eighth essential aspect is soundtrack. Even though this movie is absolutely terrible, the one thing I will give it, the one thing out of everything I could give it, is the fact that the intro and outro music was at least, that was good. Because it reminded me a lot of Criminal Minds, and I love that show. It's that kind of music, and I thought that was good. However, the rest of the movie, I don't even remember if it had a soundtrack. I'm pretty sure it did, but it was just so quiet in the background you couldn't even tell. And if it was there, it probably just didn't match the scene anyway. So I'll give you credit for the intro and outro music. The rest is no. The ninth essential aspect is directing. So the director of this movie is Neil Breen, and it was his job to take these previous 8 essential aspects, put them together to make a movie that's worth watching. Obviously, it's not worth watching. I would pay someone to let me not watch it, to be honest. And that might be harsh, but you watch the movie and then you let me know what you think of it, because I don't know how it's even available to the public. And he has previously directed 2 movies somehow, and they were Double Down and I Am Here Now. And I will not be watching those because of, obviously, if this is his 3rd attempt at a movie, I cannot imagine what those are. I will not be watching them. If you recommend it, I will ignore your comment because I am not going through that again. Maybe what I'll do is I'll just watch the trailer, and then if the trailer itself seems better than the movie, maybe I'll at least watch it at ×5 speed. But I will not put myself through another one of this man's movies. I don't know how he can call himself a director, to be honest. And the 10th essential aspect is time. Fateful Findings, unfortunately, will stand the test of time. And it will do so by being the worst movie ever made. But otherwise, when it comes to actual enjoyment of the movie, it will never stand the test of time in any universe. Now, onto the reviews. For once, the reviews are actually higher than I expected for this movie. Besides the first one, and you'll see, Rotten Tomatoes critics actually didn't give it a rating. It had like 3 reviews total, so it didn't even have enough to tally up an overall rating. Rotten Tomatoes audience had 50%, and that makes sense because it's low, but it needs to be way lower than that. And IMDb gave it a 43%. That makes more sense, but honestly, remove all of these. I don't think any of them, actually, you know what? Bring Rotten Tomatoes critics back up. I agree with this. It deserves to be really, really low, and the fact that it only has 3 reviews means not many people watched it, and I agree with that. I'm glad that more critics didn't decide to waste their time. But overall, I would give this probably a 10, and that's because one of the 10 essential aspects out of today was decent, and that was the soundtrack because of the intro and outro clips. But otherwise, it does not need to be rated at all. So I will agree mostly with Rotten Tomatoes critics, but either way, let's just move on to rankings. And finally, the rankings. Where will Fateful Findings rank in its year, decade, and in all time? Let's find out, starting in 2013. And to no surprise at all, it will be second, aka last, underneath The Wolverine. I don't even have to really explain it. The Wolverine is a pretty good movie. I liked the characters. I think that it wasn't a good direction for Wolverine to go in. But otherwise, it had a good plot. It had characters that were interesting. It had good cinematography. I loved the location of all of it. And that's already 3 things that it blows Fateful Findings out of the water with. And it had actors that knew what they were doing in it. So there's that. In the 2010s, it's going to be 19th, below SWAT Firefight. Same reasons as why it was below the Wolverine in 2013. Everything in the movie is done better. Even the parts in SWAT Firefight that I did not enjoy, like the death, it was much better than the death in this movie. It was actually, even though SWAT Firefight had very unrealistic scenes like that, comparing it to the ones in this movie, those are real life. Like, that's how realistic they are. So obviously, SWAT Firefight is going to be above Fateful Findings. And in all time, to no surprise, it's going to bottom out the list at 41st, below Steel. Yes, Steel has finally been dethroned as the worst movie in my list. It has been that way since, my third video, maybe my fourth. I don't remember which one was Steel, but I really did not like that movie. And I thought the acting was very bad, and the comedy was, those free throw jokes, my goodness. But I would rather only ever watch Steel again than watch this movie again, to be honest. And that's saying something, because I didn't think Steel would be taken down in a very long time. But not only was it taken down, there's such a gap between these movies that it's not even funny. Like, I went into my Letterboxd account and actually gave Steel a half a star more, because I don't think it should be the same the same level out of 5 as this movie. So the fact that happened means this movie's got to be pretty bad. So, of course, to no surprise, it has to bottom my list. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. That's all I have for Fateful Findings. I mean, let me know what you think in the comments. And that person that commented on one of my other videos, I think it was on my A Million Ways to Die in the West review, please comment on this one and tell me why you made me watch it. I know it was probably just a meme or a joke, or just you wanted me to watch a bad movie to see where I'd put it. But please don't request any more movies like this. At least give me movies with like quality. And then even though I might not like the movie, at least I'd be able to assess it with more than just constant crapping on. But either way, that's all I have for Fateful Findings. If you like this review, please leave a like and subscribe, and make sure to comment what movie you want me to review next. Hope you guys have an amazing day. Peace out.